Okay, so for the project, I recommend using Geogebra because it has the most features that help with finding the angles and translating or reflecting your holes. So I'm going to show you how to use GeoGebra. If you are more comfortable with Desmos and know how to do all the features, you are definitely welcome to use Desmos or some other graphing tool. You just have to explain why you used it in your report. But if you go to GeoGebra, I just search it on Google, and then you want to do GeoGebra geometry because it has more of the features that we want. So when you open GeoGebra, you will get this. You have algebra, which will list your points, and then the tools. So you mostly want to be on the tools. And we want a grid. So to get a grid, you come to the right, this where it says settings, kind of that wheel. Click on that setting and hit show axes. And then click on that wheel again and hit show grid, and then major grid lines. So that's what you want so that you have the grid. You can do it in any quadrant, but usually we do mostly first quadrant. It's up to you. And then you're going to draw your hole. So to draw your hole, one way you could do it is you can use this polygon feature. And when you do the polygon feature, you like click a starting point, and then you can make points wherever you want to make your hole. Okay, so this would be like my first hole. So that would be my first hole. And then I would make a second hole. Now this is kind of a pain. You have to like zoom in and out a bunch to make your different holes. So I will say that is not the most ideal thing. Okay, so this would be my second hole. So you're gonna make 6 holes. I want, again, my points to be at the corners, so you can move it if you mess up like that. So I'm going to move it so that it's actually on one of the corner of the grid so I can give the points. But so here's 2 of my holes, and so I would draw 4 more, and that's how you draw the holes. You also need a cup for each of the holes, so I'm going to put like a point for where the cup would be for each of these holes. Okay. So then you also need a practice hole. So for a practice hole, what you can do is if you click more where I did and scroll down and click on regular polygon, you can make a regular polygon using that. If I just put this over here. So you can do like regular polygon and then pick how many vertices, which is how many sides. So if I want to do like a hexagon, I would do 6, and it would create that practice hole. Okay, and this is a huge practice hole based on like what I did, but you click on that one point to get the side length, and then it makes all the other sides equal. Again, once you do that, you also need a hole in your practice hole, so that would be there. So again, I have my practice hole. I'm going to have 6 holes. I'm not going to draw all of them, but I would have 6 holes. And one feature it said that you have to have is that all the lines that are parallel have to be the same color. So to do that, to change the color, you click on the segment, and then this toolbar should come up. The first paint can, you click on that, and then you can choose your color. And so I'm going to make all the lines that are parallel. And just make sure you're clicking on the segment. And again, you kind of have to zoom in and out a lot to make this work. I'm going to make all the sides that are parallel the same color. So I still couldn't get it, so I have to zoom in even more to get it so that I can actually select that segment. and turn them all green. So I have all my vertical lines being green. I have all my horizontal lines being blue. And so I'd have to do the same thing over here, like make all of my parallel lines. And you can do the same color in all of them, or you can, for the one hole, they have to be, all the parallel lines have to be the same color. So that would be an example of changing the colors. The other thing you have to do is measure the angles. So to measure the angles, if you go down to measure and hit angle, what you do is you trace the angle like we would be naming it. So if I want to do this angle B here, remember you can name it with 3 letters. So it would be A, B, C. So that's what I do. I trace it. I go from A to B to C, and it will give me that angle measure. And then I can do B to C to D, and it will give me that angle measure. And so you need to do that for each of your angles. Okay. Now, when you get to angles like this, so when I did the angle D to E to F, it does the 90, and that's outside of my figure, and I want the angle inside. So to change it, if you go back to your point, if you click on that angle, the angle measurement, and again, I might have to move into this. Okay, sorry, if you left click on that angle measurement, or sorry, right click on that angle measurement. So I had to right click on it. And then what will come up is duplicate angle settings. You want to click on angle and change from 180 to 360. Okay, so this is 90. This is the rest of the way around. So it would be like 360, a circle, minus 90. So I have to switch it to that setting so that it does the other side. Same with this. I come to that, I right click on it, go to angle, and then go to 180 to 360 to get the other side. So any of the angle measures that are on the wrong side, you will have to do that. The default setting is that it's going to create an angle that is less than 180. And for some of these, you will need angles that are more than 180. Okay, so like this one again, it's outside. So I'm gonna right click on that, go to angle, and then 180, 360. Okay, and so I'm gonna do all my angles in my polygon. So I've in this one, 2 more to do. Okay, so make sure all of your angles, so you do that for all of your holes. And that will be mostly what you do for the first design. And then you also need to add walkways. So I kind of find students do 2 different things in the past. You can use the segment tool and draw the walkway around your path. And then again, I don't usually want slanted lines, so I'm going to fix them once I zoom in. So that would be like my walkway, this whole area around it. Some students also choose to do polygon. And instead of making a walkway like that, they just make like a big square around their whole region, which is also fine, and considering that like their walkway. So you could also do that if you want to draw a walkway right around, or make like a big square area, which everywhere is there is going to be your concrete where people could walk. So either way is fine. Okay. So again, that would give me my hole and then my walkways, and that would be your first design. And I'm just going to delete that for now. And then your second design is you will have to, again, rearrange or transform your holes someone else. So you can do that on GeoGebra. I often find that it's easier just to like graph them out on graph paper and do the transformations myself and then plot them on a new design. But you're welcome to use the transformation features on this. So if you scroll down, you go to transform, and they have translate by a vector, rotate around a point, reflect about a line, dilate from a point. Reflect about a point we didn't really do, so I would stick with the other ones. And so you could translate or rotate or reflect or dilate these designs. So these tools are a little tricky, and I tend to mess them up often, but there's also videos from GeoGebra explaining these tools as well. But if you want to translate by a vector, the first thing I would do is you want to do the entire hole. So I would do select objects and like highlight that entire hole. And then click translate by a vector, click on that figure. And then you have to draw your vector. And so then it would translate all the points that amount. And you would have to describe how you translated it. I translated it, and then you would need to give the vector. So this vector is, the X value is 2, 4, 6, 8. So would be right 8 and then down 1, 6. Okay, so it'd be 8, -6 would be my vector. So I would say I translated this 8 to the right and down 6. So that's one of the transformations you can do. You can rotate about a point. So again, you want your first design. So I would do your first design. Undo. Okay, so you'd make your whole first design, and then you want to save it. You can save it by signing in, and you can use like Google, Office 360, Microsoft, Facebook, Twitter, any of those, and you can sign in. And then once you sign in, you can save it. So I would save your first design, and then you can save it as a second thing, and you can hit File, Save. And then I would hit File, and then you can download your first design as a PDF is what you'll want. So after you create your first design and before you do any transformations, I would save it, I would download it. And then after you do that, I would then start doing your transformations so that you have your first design done and you're not messing with it. Okay. So again, then if I want to I could rotate it around the point. The first thing, again, you want to do select objects and select the entire hole. So if I want to rotate this, and then you click on rotate around a point, and then you're going to pick the point that you rotated around. So like this point, and then you give the rotation that you want to do, 90, 180, 270. And hit OK, clockwise, counterclockwise. And then it rotates your figure that amount. And then the same, if you want to do like dilations, it's the same thing. You dilate about a point. So you click the image, you pick a point, and then it will prompt you for the scale factor. And then reflect about a line. So I would draw a line, and then I would select my object. So I would select this one. And then click on reflect about a line, click on that figure, click on the line I want to reflect over. And I had to click on it twice, and then it reflects it. And again, when you're using this feature and doing multiple different transformations, you have to make sure that your holes are not landing on each other. So again, that's one reason I think it's easier to do by hand. But I would transform all of these holes. So I would still need to do my practice hole and my other 4 holes. And then again, after you do that, you need to redraw your walkways on these figures. So once I had this, I would redraw my walkways, either again, making the square around or doing like the individual walkways around the area. Okay. So that's some of the features of it. If you have more questions, let me know, but hopefully that gets you started with using GeoGebra.